Mishal, it's a great pleasure to have you here today in Geneva at the SIGEF first edition. You made, a testimonial, amazing, moving, on how we can, all together make a difference, how the society can move. So, Mishal, we are very, willing, to know about your dream. What can you tell us about your dream, Mishal?
Honestly, I just hope that the one thing I do is leave a good legacy for my children. I want them to be. I want them to be proud of it. That I've actually done no harm. You know, the doctors they taught first do no harm. I think we should be taking that same attitude. I don't want to harm the society. I don't want to harm the world. I want to make sure that I give back from what I get, because at the end of the day, it's not mine. It's given to me, I have it, I utilize it, and then give it back to somebody else, because maybe somebody else will utilize it in a better way, whatever that it might be.
When you talk about, the purpose of the money, to make, people's life happy, to share,
Yes.
to make people move in the right direction of universality. This inspiration, can you share maybe, some glimpse on where is it coming from?
This is part and parcel. Okay, initially it starts off as it's a very religious teaching that we get. But it's not just that. There's an addition to that. You also feel that there is part and parcel of a universality in humans, that we should be taking care of each other. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what we are there for. There is a very important saying in the Quran. It says, the Arabic is وَإِنَّا كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي آدَمَ, and it says we honor the human being. It doesn't say a human being of this condition or that condition or from this place or that. Human being, it's honoring that. And with that mindset, and with keeping up with that idea of honoring human, I cannot say just because I don't like you, I hurt you. Just because you have a different opinion, I'll hurt you or I do something bad to you. I want to hear your opinion. Maybe your opinion will cause me to think about things. We're enemies at this present time because of a different idea that you have that I don't have. But maybe tomorrow we won't have that bad idea. Now, if what you're doing has to do with hurt and damage to people, no, we will never agree to that, because I will not accept hurting, damaging others. But if we have a difference of opinion on something slightly or lighter than that, where you think the right is the right path we should be going, and I think left is the right path we should be going, that's a difference of opinion we can overcome. And I should be intelligent enough and open enough to allow you to tell me what you think, because then I grow, my mind grows, and humanity grows with that. Because at the end of the day, I can assure you of two things. One, we will be born. Two, we will die. Anything else in between, hey, that's not up to me.
Amazing. That's basically, the very principle of universality, through interactions, through dialogues, through diversity that you are expressing. So, Mishal, we will be very looking, to understand the actions that you are supporting, or the ideas you would like, to see happening in the world, to be, empirical and concrete, so people, can raise their awareness, consciousness.
I think the ideal thing is to always start from yourself. What do you want? Because if you are just doing this because somebody else is telling you to do it, it won't work. I want to see change, so I'm going to affect change. How am I going to affect change? There are two ways I personally can affect change. One, in my behavior, and two, because I'm lucky to be in a position where my family has money, so I can spend that money. Effect in change, behavioral change, I can see this immediately for my children in terms of how I promote an idea, how I spend on an idea, and how to gather that idea to move towards a certain direction. In terms of money spent, there can be money spent in order to get businesses to understand, to move towards a certain direction and idea, rather than what they're currently doing. Because currently all they want to do is manufacture more money. And I'm using that word carefully. They are manufacturing more money, but is the purpose of manufacturing money going to make them better? Well, they're not going to change their behavior unless I tell them manufacturing that money is not going to make your life better, not going to make my life better, and the only way you're going to make your life and my life better is by changing your behavior, and this is how you should do it.
Mishal, if you had, and you have a message, to share to the citizen of the world, what will be this message?
If you have children, give them a better life. As children, we've gone through different pains and agonies and suffering. we don't need our children to go through the same pains and agony and suffering. So we need to give them a better life. And that better life doesn't necessarily mean just a nicer house. No, no. It means giving them a better world where people actually care for one another and are not nasty. A few hundred years ago, people actually cared for one another. In a community, you actually cared for one another. Today, we're so isolated from one another that we get an isolated car into an isolated cubicle, an isolated plane, and we don't want to talk to each other. And the worst example of that one is when people get in an elevator, nobody talks to each other, right? Everyone's frightened out of their minds. But because we're not used to we're so used to the idea of insulating ourselves from others. How can I change the world positively if I can't interact with each other? And how can I teach my children that this is the right way if I don't do it? So I have to start by myself.
Mishal, we are in resonance with all your words and thoughts, and we are looking, to have you, in the next edition of the SIGEF.
I appreciate it.
Thank you very much. All the best.
See.
Thank you very much.